Total Screen proudly presents their official podcast, On Screen, with your hosts, Tyson Gifford and William Rohrig. Hello, everybody, and welcome to On Screen, the official podcast of the Total Screen. My name is Tyson.
My name is Will.
And today we are going to be talking about Invincible Season 4. We've also got an on-beat segment with quite a few news stories. Some are carryovers from what we were talking about last week, where we ended up talking about CinemaCon, and that was still going on when we recorded our podcast last week, so there's a few new things to talk about there, including some trailers and stuff. Some of them were trailers we talked about last week, but we didn't get to see them last week, so now we can talk about kind of actually having seen the trailer. We've also got our On the Horizon segment. We're going to talk about what's coming up in the next week or so, and then, as I mentioned, we're going to talk about Invincible Season 4 in full spoilers. Let's get started with our On the Horizon segment.
On the Horizon.
On the Horizon is where we talk about what's coming up for the next week or so. And the first thing we got here is Diablo 4, Lord of Hatred. The new DLC for Diablo 4 is coming on Tuesday, April 28th to PC, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, and Series X. I heard Diablo 4 is heavily rumored for Switch 2, so I imagine it's gonna eventually come to the Switch 2 as well when that build eventually hits.
I wouldn't be surprised.
But for right now, April 28th, PC, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, and Series X. Widow's Bay, which is a new horror comedy that features Matthew Rhys and Stephen Root. We talked about the trailer for this either last week or the week before. That's the one with the guy in the small town. There's sinister happenings in the town and he's all chipper.
Oh, yeah.
That's coming on Wednesday, April 29th to Apple TV. Invincible Versus, the game, is finally coming out on Thursday, April 30th to PC, PS5, and Xbox Series X. Swapped, which is an animated family film featuring the voices of Michael B. Jordan, Juno Temple, and Tracy Morgan, is coming on Friday, May 1st to Netflix. The Devil Wears Prada 2 is coming to theaters on Friday, May 1st. Hokum, which is that Adam Scott horror movie, is coming on Friday, May 1st to theaters as well. As is One Spoon of Chocolate, which is Riz's, I think it's his directorial debut. I think he's worked on films before. He's produced, but I don't know if he's directed before. Or if he has, this is another one, I guess. That's also coming Friday, May 1st. As is Deep Water. This is that plane crash movie with Aaron Eckhart and Ben Kingsley. And That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime, the movie Tears of the Azure Sea, is coming also on Friday, May 1st to theaters. That's an isekai anime movie. That is it for our On the Horizon segment. Now we're going to move on to On Beat. On Beat. So we got one story straight from CinemaCon, and then we've got some other news stories that just came out this week, and then we got some trailers, some of which were at CinemaCon, but some were not. We're going to start things off with the one news story we have from CinemaCon, which is that SpaceBalls, the new SpaceBalls movie, has its official name. It is not called SpaceBalls, The Search for More Money. It's called SpaceBalls, The New One.
Yep, they did a funny thing, an announcement trailer, where they had Mel Brooks explain the title. And because the famous scene in Spaceballs where Yogurt, Mel Brooks' character, says he'll meet everybody again in the sequel, The Search for More Money, and Mel Brooks explains that it's not actually going to be called The Search for More Money because he found the money. It was in his basement. And it cuts to a duffel bag full of money labeled Spaceballs the Money. Which is such a great gag.
Yeah.
And he's and then he goes on to explain, people keep asking me, when are you going to make a new one? When are you going to make the new Spaceballs, the new one? And says, so the title is, this is the new one. This is Spaceballs, the new one, is the title.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is, they have have a returning cast. They had a panel, and Rick Moranis was there. He's returning to acting in general. He hasn't acted in a long time, and he's back for this movie. Daphne Zuniga is back. Bill Pullman is back. And then we also have Josh Gad, who also wrote on the movie, and Lewis Pullman, Bill Pullman's son, are also joining the cast. Lewis Pullman was actually kind of funny because they talked to him about joining the movie with his dad, and he said, it's been coming for a long time. My first involvement of the movie happened when I was born.
I saw a clip of Lewis Pullman with Bill Pullman, and they explained, like, they were looking for a project that they could do together. And Lewis Pullman said he originally envisioned it would be like a gritty, serious movie that he would be doing. But then this came along, and it just seemed like, they said they couldn't, like, find the right project. And then this came along, and this seemed like the perfect project to do together.
Yeah. So it sounds good.
Yeah.
We're going to go to Plaid when that comes out.
Yep. I mean, I'm excited. I mean, already, like, the announcement trailer with Mel Brooks, that already got a laugh out of me. So it's like, okay, you're, like, off on the right foot, like, already.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm excited for it. I think if they nail it, it could be something special. It's a shame John Candy is no longer with us, so we don't have Arf. But it's nice that we were, like, able to get, like, the rest of the principal cast.
Well, dogs only live, like, 7 years, so.
That's true, yeah. And it's crazy. Mel Brooks is 99 years old.
Yeah.
He's
part of that, like, very old guard of Hollywood that's still around, like him and Dick Van Dyke.
Yeah. The crazy thing is Mel Brooks is still working.
Yeah.
I mean, to a limited capacity. He's not directing the film or anything. He's producing. He's still active, which is, like, nice to see.
Yeah. Our next news story, Charlie versus the Chocolate Factory. This is a new animated movie. It's from the studio behind K-pop Demon Hunters. They also did the Spider-Verse movies, and it's going to feature Taika Waititi as the voice of Willy Wonka.
Yep. This appears to be a sort of a sequel, maybe, to the Willy Wonka. This is definitely not just retelling the Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory story. This also has, like, nothing to do with the Timothée Chalamet prequel that Warner Bros. Released a year or so ago.
Mm-hmm.
This is, like, a completely original project.
Based on the studio doing it, I think this is going to be just kind of like a very weird kind of standalone project.
Yeah.
And
I think so too.
They do that with Spider-Verse movies. I haven't seen K-pop Demon Hunters, but I've heard the same thing for that. They all get kind of a little bit meta, but like not like wink at the camera kind of way, but more like playing around with like they did a thing in Spider-Verse that's pretty famous that they did where they animated, about animating on ones and twos? Have you ever heard that expression?
No, I'm not an animator.
Okay, well, you can animate, I think I might be getting this backwards, but if you animate on ones, you're basically animating every frame. So every frame is like a new movement. But if you're animating on twos, then you're doing it every other frame. So if you're filming it like 24 frames a second, you're only making like 12 frames of actual animation. It's like an animation trick to basically conserve money and resources, but it looks kind of jittery. And they did a thing in the Spider-Verse movies where they wanted to show that Miles Morales was kind of inexperienced. So they had Peter Parker would animate on ones and and Miles Morales animated on twos. So he just looked a little bit jerkier and choppier than but where like Peter Parker looked very smooth when he was moving and stuff.
Okay, so that's interesting.
It's like a little thing, but it's kind of like a meta thing about animation. And that's kind of like what I'm expecting from this, because that's like, that studio does a lot of like really clever stuff with different animation styles and stuff. So I think it's going to kind of be a bit of a meta project.
Okay. Yeah, that'll be cool.
Yeah. Next up we have Charles Dance. This is Tywin Lannister himself is in talks to join the Batman 2 as Charles Dent, the father of Sebastian Stan's Harvey Dent. Harvey Dent, of course, Two-Face, needs no introduction.
Yep, Harvey Dent. Eventually Two-Face. Unknown if Harvey Dent will be Two-Face in this movie. We still don't really have plot details or any indication of the villain for this film, but it is clear that the Dent family will play a part in this movie.
Yes.
Because, we have Charles Dance as the patriarch. Sebastian Stan, you already mentioned, is Harvey. And then we have Scarlett Johansson was cast as Harvey's wife, Gilda Dent.
Mm-hmm.
So
the first Batman movie was very much about like kind of family dynamics. You know, I mean, Batman always is because of his history, but then you take in like, if you look at like the Batman, they did the whole thing with like Catwoman and Falcone.
Yeah, Catwoman and Falcone.
And then you go into like the Penguin and how that went into like even further into kind of like the Falcone family dynamics and.
Yeah, the Falcone family, and they went into, you know, the backstory of Bruce's father and like his dealings.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like that was a part of it.
So I think like Matt Reeves is very interested in like family dynasties. And I imagine that's why we're getting so much representation from the Dent family, whereas we've only really ever had Harvey before. Like in movies and stuff, it's always just been Harvey Dent. He's never had like a wife. They've never showed any of his family. It's just been him. And they're kind of playing into him being into this like family or something. And you cast somebody like Charles Dance as like kind of an intimidating figure to play his father. And that makes sense if you're playing into the idea of like family dynasties.
Right. Oh yeah, absolutely.
But we don't really know that. That's just me. That's just my conjecture based on what we knew from the first Batman movie, from the Penguin series, and also just who they're casting.
Right. Oh yeah, absolutely. It's going to be good. I'm glad, you know, production is finally underway. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
Waiting for this movie, so.
Yeah, Robert Pattinson is 97 years old now.
Yes.
Miami Vice. They're going to make a Miami Vice movie. This was talked about last year that they were trying to pull this off. What was being talked about is that they were trying to cast Austin Butler and Michael B. Jordan as the leads. And it seemed that if they didn't land those two actors, that they really had no intention of moving forward with the movie. Well, they've landed those two actors. Austin Butler and Michael B. Jordan have joined Miami Vice. The movie is moving forward at Universal. So get your Ferrari ready. Make sure to wear a t-shirt under your sports jacket. It's time for Miami Vice.
Yep.
And Austin Butler and Michael B. Jordan make sense because it's like, honestly, I was thinking like, who could you pair up with Michael B. Jordan that would sit next to him and really work in a way like where like they have like both have kind of equal grip on the attention span of the audience. And I'm like, well, yeah, Austin Butler, that makes sense. So
which is funny because like this is the second film adaptation reboot of Miami Vice because previously you had Colin Farrell and Jamie Foxx.
Yeah.
They did a reboot of that in 2006.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. This is another reboot of Miami Vice.
I think that's a good pairing, though. Austin Butler and Michael B. Jordan. It's like they're kind of like about equal level of celebrity right now.
Oh, yeah,
absolutely. It kind of works. Like it puts them on equal ground, and it's going to make it like a fair game. They're both very talented actors, too. So
100%.
A24 and Benedict Cumberbatch are making a TV series called White Smoke that takes place in Vatican City. It's a heist film, and it's about the papal conclave, where they choose a new pope. And in the chaos of the papal conclave and everybody waiting and the closed door sessions with the priest voting and all that stuff, they're going to pull off a heist of the Vatican City, like of the riches of the Vatican City. So yeah, this is based on a book. I think the book's not even out yet. They like licensed it before the book was published. And A24 and Benedict Cumberbatch is going to star. I think he's also producing on the project. It's going to be a TV series. They didn't announce a network or a service that it's going to be on, so I guess they're going to pitch it around. But with names like that, with A24 and Benedict Cumberbatch, it just kind of seems like a shoo-in that this is going to happen.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. I agree.
Yeah. Sounds interesting. We're getting a lot of heist films again and heist.
We are. Yeah, heist is like big again.
That leaves us with our trailers. So we got a trailer, I think it was today, right? Or was it yesterday for Splatoon Raiders?
It was yesterday.
Okay, we got that trailer yesterday then.
Yeah, it just dropped on Nintendo today.
Yeah, which is how the game was announced.
Yep, the game was announced via Nintendo Day. It's funny because people keep asking where's the next Direct, and I do believe there will be a Direct, but it's also like, I believe the reason we didn't get a Direct in the spring is because Nintendo Today changed the equation to where that, like Nintendo used to do trailer drops, so I think Nintendo is now more like, we're going to have Directs, but it's not going to be as frequent because we're going to drop a lot of information on Nintendo Today now, and you should be checking that app. We told you when we announced Nintendo Today that you need to be checking that out. We got a gameplay trailer for Splatoon Raiders that explained more about the game, and Nintendo confirmed that it is a single-player focused Splatoon.
There is multiplayer, but it's single-player focused.
This is not a PvP game, first of all.
No, it's not Splatoon, the traditional Splatoon like Turf War style either.
It's not PvP. It's not online PvP. This is PvE, player versus enemy. It looks like a full game version of the Salmon Run mode in the standard Splatoon games, which is the only PvE content in Splatoon besides single player modes. And yeah, you could play this fully single player, but there is also up to 4-player co-op as well, my understanding. And yeah, it looks like a lot of fun. It's interesting this is going to be cheaper than other Switch games so far. This is going to be a $60 game at retail, $50 if you buy it off the eShop, which Switch 2 games, especially first party, have uniformly been, up to this point, been $70 or $80. You know, so it's kind of like, oh, that's interesting. And I think, there's the variable pricing Doug Bowser was talking about. Right?
Yeah, it's interesting because we're getting that variable pricing kind of reconfirmed here, but we're also, this is like the first time since the announcement that they're going to be doing different prices for physical and digital that we've gotten like a price reveal, and it is lower.
Yoshi is going to be the first one.
Yoshi was when they announced it. This is like the first one since they announced it.
Okay, I get what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah. And
get the nuance in what you're saying.
Yeah, and this is like the first time where it's like, okay, a $60 game, that's like standard industry, you know? It's been drifting towards 70, but standard is still like 60, I would say, for video games, and then like 50 being actually cheaper than that. That's like kind of what's really telling about this for the digital. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this. I'm not 100% sold on it yet, but it's like, I'm probably about 70% there to getting this game. It depends on if I'm playing
I am 100% on board because I was telling you before, like Salmon Run in Splatoon 2 or 3 is like my favorite mode in those games. Like don't get me wrong, I have fun with Turf War. Less fun with Turf War in Splatoon 3 because I feel like at some point between Splatoon 2 and Splatoon 3, people got like a lot more sweaty. It's like, damn, that mode just got like a lot harder for some reason.
Yeah.
But I still enjoy a game, but like Salmon Run is like, that's my jam. And so like, if this is going to be like an entire game based on that, then like, I'm hyped.
Yeah. I was mentioning to you earlier that like, I really hope with the next Splatoon entry, they kind of divorce the different game modes from like ranked and casual play. Cause right now the way it is in like Splatoon 1, 2, and 3 is that you have your casual mode is Turf War. That's your just typical 4v4 basic, like it's all about who covers the most turf with their paint. And then you have ranked matches, but they have all these different style ones like capture the flag and stuff, but they all have that pressure of being a ranked match. And then there's no turf war in ranked. So it's like, I really hope they just kind of divorce that and just make it so that you can play any of the modes in either like casual or ranked. That way I can just play casual and I don't have to worry about the sweaty people.
You know what? I hope Splatoon Raiders is successful enough that it keeps getting sequels and this becomes a sub-series that exists alongside the main series Splatoon games. So they could even do on and off. They could do a Raiders, and then Splatoon 4, and then a Raiders 2, Splatoon 5. Like, we could do that. Like, that'd be cool.
You want like Forza Horizon, but like Splatoon
Splatoon Raiders. Yeah, exactly.
I always thought if they would do a Splatoon spin-off that it should be like Jet Set Radio or something. I thought that would be kind of a cool way to do it, but they're not.
No, they're not.
They're taking.
They're doing this, but I think this is perfectly fine. So, like, I'm happy with it. I'm looking forward to it. Like, July. It's interesting. It's going to be the end of July, the same month they're releasing Rhythm Heaven on the Switch. So Nintendo has 2 first-party titles releasing in July, arguably for Switch 2, because Switch 2 is backwards compatible with Switch 1 games.
They tend to do that. I mean, even when Switch was kind of on a stint of getting like one big first-party game every month with like the original Switch, there would still be like occasional months where they'd have like 2.
But
like November, there's usually 2 games in November, for example.
That's interesting because it leaves June empty.
Yeah.
So June is still empty so far, but there is still one first-party game that has been announced for this year. Well, there's 2 actually. That's Fire Emblem, Fortune's Weave, and the Duskbloods, which I think like the Duskbloods is probably late in the year. So, I don't know. I think like maybe Fire Emblem could be releasing in June.
I kind of hope they do the Duskbloods in October. Just kind of, let's reclaim spooky season. Come on.
Right? Yeah, let's reclaim spooky season. I agree.
But yeah, I mean, who knows? Maybe instead of that, we'll get like a Luigi's Mansion or something this year.
I get Luigi's Mansions 4. Next Level Games has to be working on something, right?
Yeah, I mean, or we could just get like a Switch 2 edition of 3 or something. I don't know. But
that'd be lame. I mean, it'd be fine, but I mean, it'd be lame if that's like the big game for October.
I'd probably pick it up just because I never got around to playing Luigi's Mansion 3, so that would be like, and that would be like a calling for me. It'd be like, okay,
or just like a Switch 2 upgrade of a game that's been out for years. It's kind of like,
Yeah, I agree. But it'll be called Luigi's Mansion 3 Nintendo Switch 2 Edition plus Meet Up in Bellabelle Park.
Oh yeah, true. So that redeems it.
But yeah, so that's Splatoon Raiders. It's exciting. That's coming up. We got, a lot of Nintendo stuff that's heavily rumored that also will fill out some more dates in the year, hopefully, if they turn out to be true. But next we've got Evil Dead Burn. So this is just a teaser. It sounds like it's much shorter than what was actually shown at CinemaCon. The descriptions of what was shown at CinemaCon, talked about, the scene with, a dishwasher and, all this just crazy other stuff that was happening that we did not see in this trailer. What we saw looked almost like a kind of a zombie attack or something on a house.
Yeah. The woman, terrified, she's crawling.
It's like a oneer, too. It's like a single shot.
It's a single shot. She's crawling on her hands and knees, and, there's all these, deadites, jumping, at her from every direction as she's trying to, navigate through this, and it's just freaky as hell.
Yeah, it's like they just released basically a uninterrupted oneer as, the teaser. And it's really cool. The one downside I have is that, Evil Dead always kind of has this, wicked kind of sense of humor to it. Even the darker ones, even the original, even Evil Dead Rise and stuff, there's kind of a wickedness to it that was not on display here. But from what I've heard about the other stuff that was shown at CinemaCon, it sounds like that's definitely there. We just got this uninterrupted oneer as a teaser. So I'm really looking forward to when we get an actual trailer for this. But
yeah,
it's Evil Dead, so I'm going to see it regardless.
I do want to see a longer trailer for sure.
Yeah, but it's Evil Dead, so I'm going to see it regardless. Next up, we got another teaser. This one for Clayface. Long anticipated. We finally got it. This is DC's jump into body horror. What did you think of this trailer? This teaser, I should say.
It's a teaser. Yes, it's a teaser. It's not a full trailer. It looks cool. There's a bit of fan service for the fans too in there because we don't see much. There's a shot at the end where, he's laying in the tub, and then he rubs his hand over his face and pulls his skin over so, he has no face, which is creepy. There's some fan service in there, too, because you see some brief shots, and one of the shots we see a silhouette where
with the mace hand, yeah.
With the mace hand, yeah, that he always uses.
One of the first comic books, not the first, but one of the first comic books I ever bought was that whole run that happened right after Death in the Family that featured Clayface. Where he was mocking Batman by taking Robin's form and stuff.
Oh yeah.
So it's I actually was thinking if this was a video podcast, I would have gotten out my collection and pulled out that issue to hold up while we were talking about it. But it is not a video podcast, so I'll just have to say, yeah, Clayface was one of the first comic book Batman villains I ever experienced. I'd already seen, the Batman 89, the Tim Burton movie and stuff.
Oh
and
yeah.
I think the animated series was already out before that too. But when I actually started reading the comic books and stuff, that was one of the first villains.
Oh, interesting.
So,
yeah.
So Clayface looks good. I always say, in James Gunn I trust. He's not directing it, but he cares about it enough that he's including it in the DCU. It's not like an Elseworlds.
Yeah, this is the DCU Edge, which I wonder when it takes place, because I guess it's going through.
It's got to take place before the current events because Clayface was in Creature Commandos.
Yeah, Clayface fucked up Rick Flag in Creature Commandos. This is dealing with Clayface's origin. It's got to take place before Creature Commandos.
Yeah. Next up, we got a trailer for the long-awaited, finally no longer a tax write-off, even though they left that in as a joke throughout the trailer. Coyote versus Acme.
Also, the framing they used in the trailer was this is the movie the Acme Corporation didn't want you to see.
Yeah,
just playing off the fact that, Warner Brothers tried to, cancel this movie and have nobody watch it.
I love it when it said, Warner Brothers and it zoomed in and it said, a division of Acme or something.
Yeah. And oh my god, this movie looks hilarious. I just like, there's so many like little bits to it. John Cena is like the main villain. The CEO of Acme is going to be great. They showed a scene where like he's snapping a cartoon pencil in half, and it has a face there, it has eyes, and you see like the pain and horror as it's like its back is being broken. John Cena, it's like, oh my god.
I've wanted
crazy.
something like this for so long. Like, not even just this movie, that we've been waiting for this movie for so long, period. Because it was the whole tax write-off scandal and shit. But even besides that, like, as a big fan of like Who Framed Roger Rabbit, like, they've done a few other of those like hybrid, like 2D ones or whatever. They're never that good though.
They did Space Jam, Space Jam is fine, the original. I didn't watch the one with LeBron. I don't care about that.
Space Jam's okay. It doesn't hold up in the way.
No,
it doesn't hold up in the way Who Framed Roger Rabbit does.
Who Framed Roger Rabbit is stone cold classic.
Yeah. Then you have something like Cool World was okay, but it just wasn't that good.
But when I heard the concept for this movie originally, I thought, oh, that's a pretty clever concept.
Mm-hmm.
The idea that, Acme makes like shoddy products and Coyote's gonna sue them. You got Will Forte as his lawyer. You got Will Forte involved.
He's like an ambulance chaser, yeah.
Yeah, I just thought this is like such a great concept for a film. There's so many like fun things you could do with that idea. So many directions you could go with it. Like there's so much potential. Like that's why like I want to see the movie. I want to see it realized because it's like, oh, okay. And they're doing the live action anime hybrid thing again, which is like, but I was like, oh, okay, that sounds cool. I would like to see this movie. And the Warner Bros. Is like, nope. And it's like, okay, but I was hoping it would be saved because I wanted to see it realized. Now, like watching this trailer, I'm kind of like, oh yeah, I'm glad this was saved because this looks like it's using the full potential of the concept.
It's great because it's a miracle of a film. This was done as a tax write-off, so like we were never going to see it was never going to see the light of day in any way, like legally restricted from seeing the light of day. And now we're getting it. It's like it's a miracle in that sense. But on top of that, they kind of used the whole thing for their marketing. Like we talked about, they used the whole situation that the movie fell into in its marketing, which is like just brilliant. It just makes me even more excited for it, even though I know that like that stuff probably, I can't imagine they re-edited the film to add in references to that, probably just the trailer. But even so, like I'm just so impressed that they did even that I'm just more excited about it. I just want to get more stuff like this though. Can we get more like Roger Rabbit style movies,
Yeah, exactly. And I'm glad we're getting this.
Yeah.
Super hyped. I'm going to watch this for sure.
Oh yeah, definitely. We'll talk about this. We'll do a full spoilers on Coyote versus Acme.
Nice. Can't wait.
Yep. And then lastly, we got a trailer for Street Fighter. I think we had 2 teasers, right?
We had 2 teasers, previously, but this is the first full trailer we got for a film.
We got to see pretty much everybody this time. There were some characters we hadn't seen before, like Blanca and Nakuma, which we got to see now.
Yep. Jason Momoa is Blanca. This surprised me. I was fully expecting to hate this movie. I was kind of like, I had low expectations going into it, but oh man, I think they nailed the tone. They nailed the tone and the direction for it to where it is heightened. It is a bit goofy, and it kind of it embraces the absurdity of the concept.
That's the key point, because I saw some people criticizing it and saying oh, this just looks so stupid. They were it was kind of the same people that hate on the Mario movie, and they were hating it for the same kind of things, and I'm they're oh, it's so cheesy and blah, blah, and blah, blah, and all this other stuff, and I'm yeah, but it's leaning into it.
Yeah, it's leaning into it. And also people saying that that's lacking awareness, the games are cheesy.
Yeah.
So if you're doing an adaptation of the games, I think the wrong and where the missteps in the past were was trying to lean into making a serious movie.
Yeah, you gotta lean into what the actual game was, the ridiculousness. I still remember playing the original game and winning with Blanca, and I can't remember it exactly, but all the characters had endings. If you beat the final boss, if you beat Bison with one of the characters, they would have a little storyline ending, and a lot of them were really ridiculous and stupid, and the best was Blanca's.
Yes. Yes.
Because it was just like his mom ran up and was like, there you are. And then he's just like, oh, who the fuck are you?
Right, yeah. Yeah, exactly, yeah.
It was such a nonsense ending, but it was hilarious. And I remember like cracking up so hard when I was a kid watching that. And it's like, yeah, Street Fighter is so cheesy and so weird, but it didn't matter because it was a video game. But when you add in like the actual story that was resolved in the storylines for it and stuff, it's like, this is what this is. It's leaning into all that like cheesiness, and that's good. Like, this is not what Mortal Kombat should be, but this is what Street Fighter should be.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. So yeah, I think it looks like a fun movie.
Yeah. Also, the actor who plays Ken, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but I saw him first. He was in like a Netflix TV series or whatever. He is right on the verge of like a massive blow up, like a career blow up. He is going to be playing John Rambo in the new Rambo movie.
Oh, okay.
And he was like, he was just this kind of, I mean, he wasn't like skinny or he was just like normal looking guy, and he got ripped for this movie. And like now he's going to be like a big action star basically. So it's gonna be like kind of the start of his career with this movie, or the like new start of his career, because he had already been acting, but this is like where really things are really taking off for him is with this movie. So that's also going to be kind of exciting in its own right.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But that is it for our trailers and for our On Beat segment. And now we're going to move on to our final segment, full spoilers. This week we are talking about Season 4 of Invincible. So before we get started with anything else, I gotta do a temperature check with you. Because Season 2 is the one where they divided the season into 2 parts, and I know you weren't really a fan of that, and it kinda like hurt this whole season for you because of that. Season 3, they kinda did away with that. It went right through, you enjoyed it a lot more. Where are you placing Season 4? Season 4 like continuing on for Season 3 for you, or is it kind of a step back? What is it?
Season 4 is top tier.
Okay.
It's top tier Invincible. I was engaged the entire way through.
Except that one episode?
Which episode?
The Hell episode?
Hell episode was fine. It's interesting because, like, it was a story concept that he came up with for the comics and then did not include in the comic run. And actually, like, watching it here, I can see why they cut it, because it is, like, superfluous. It does come, like, when we're, like, supposed to be focusing on the Viltrumite War.
I do kind of admire that they left thematic threads through there, you know?
Yeah.
Because Mark was dealing with some shit, and, like, it kind of came to some conclusions through that trip, you know? So I like that they did that. I also like, of course, Bruce Campbell voicing Satan is a really good thing, which is really why the episode disappointed me so much, because it's like, God, you got Bruce Campbell and still you got this? Like, come on.
Yeah, it is.
And
like
they even cheaped out on the animation, like, and they even turned them cheaping out on the animation in that episode into like a running gag through the episode.
It is like the weakest episode of the season for sure.
Oh yeah. This is like the episode of Stranger Things where Elle goes with that crew with her sister and stuff in season 2. This is like that, where it's just like, come on, get back to the point.
I do want to say though, it is interesting how Robert Kirkman is like using the series as a director
fulfillment for his things that he missed out on.
Well, it's like a director's cut of the comic, right?
Yeah.
So they're doing some things that they want to do or didn't do in the comic. I heard like one of the big differences between the comic and like what happens in the season is the relationship between Nolan and Debbie. Because apparently in the comic, Nolan comes back and apologizes and Debbie just accepts him right away. There's like no tension or drama. And in here, like there's a lot.
They didn't do that.
Yeah, I heard that. I was like, I'm so glad they changed that in this, because like that makes no sense.
I've heard of some storylines from the comics, like they did Eve's story a little differently too than in the comics, and I'm like glad.
Yeah.
Based on what I heard about what the story originally was, I'm like, oh, I'm so glad they changed that.
Yeah, I'm so glad they changed it too.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, this was like the furthest into kind of the Viltrumite saga of Invincible. This is like really brings it to its kind of like midpoint almost, you know?
Yes.
And I told you when we were watching it, I told you like there's an episode, I think it was, the Hell episode was episode 4, right? I think it was episode 4.
I believe so, either episode 4 or 5.
And I said episode 4 is like a downtrend. It's like the worst episode. I think it's the worst episode of this whole series.
I knew it was coming because they teased that at the end end of last season.
Yeah.
So, like, I knew they were doing it.
Yeah.
So I was kind of like, okay, when is going to be the episode where they do that?
And then
they did the running gag with the mummy again that they do every season.
Yeah.
This time, like, he managed to swallow his misogyny enough to actually, like, take a host. But that's the only time, again, that's the only time we see him this season. He only appears, like, once every season.
So we had that hell episode, and it was directly followed up by, like, an episode that had the most brutal scene in the entire series, I think.
Yes.
Which was Conquest versus Mark Round 2.
Yeah, that was brutal. I love that fight. I think it's one of my favorite fights.
It's just the way he's slowly pulling out. It's not just that he's pulling out his guts, it's that he's doing it slowly as he's dying.
Oh yeah, well it's not just that. It's the way, like, Mark takes down Conquest, cause, like, Mark doesn't try to, like, overpower Conquest. He just grabs his throat and he holds on for dear life.
It's like sheer grit and determination.
Yeah, just sheer grit and determination. He does not let go. He does not let go of Conquest, no matter what Conquest does to him. Even, like, as Conquest is pulling his entrails out of his gut, he's still, like, squeezing as tight as he can until Conquest freaking chokes out and dies.
I was so hyped the moment Mark said, "You're never going to breathe again." I was like, "Oh, that is such a badass line."
Yeah, it's such a badass line. Yeah.
I was, like, so into it from that point out. And then, just like I said, what makes it so brutal isn't that he was pulling out his intestines. It's that he was doing it slowly as he was clearly dying.
Yes.
Like, he was like fading out and his face was turning purple and his hand starts, like, shaking and moving very slow, and he's still, like, reaching into Mark's stomach and pulling out his intestines.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh god, it's just hard to watch. It's so brutal.
And still Mark is not releasing his grip even as his intestines are being pulled out.
Yeah, he just holds on until he's dead.
Yeah.
Did you like the fake out? The post-credits fake out scene?
Oh yeah, yeah.
That was good fun. I'm so glad they didn't, like, find a reason to bring him back or something. Like, he needed to die with what they did. How they pulled that scene off, it would have sucked if he had survived that.
Oh yeah, it would have been sucked. It would have been, like, such a betrayal.
Yeah.
Of that whole thing. And I gotta say, like, Thrag is definitely, like, a very interesting, very scary villain.
Lee Pace, man.
Lee Pace. Lee Pace does good villains.
Yeah.
Let me tell you.
I've loved him since Pushing Daisies, where he did not play a villain, but.
Yeah.
I loved him since that series, and I'm so happy that he's, like, finally getting, like, a career now.
Yeah, he's finally getting a career. Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. He's great. Thrag is, like,
it was funny watching people's reactions, like, episode to episode, where people were bitching, like, they're like, they ruined Thrag with Lee Pace. Like, the second he talked, it's like, oh, he's not interesting anymore. And then they did the one episode with the big fight with Thrag and Omni-Man and Mark. And it was like, okay, yeah, everybody all of a sudden was like, oh my god, Thrag is, like, oroforming, like nobody's business.
It's funny because, like, when you hear Thrag talk, because it's interesting getting Lee Pace to voice Thrag, because when you hear the other Viltrumites in the series, most of them, they have, like, gruff, burly voices. Omni-Man, Nolan, Conquest.
Thrag sounds almost Shakespearean.
Yeah, Thrag, like, he has, like, a soft voice. And again, he looks physically like the other Viltrumites, so you expect him to have that same gruff voice, but, like, when he talks, he has, like, a very soft voice. And I admit, like, the first time I heard him talk, like, it kind of threw me off a bit. It is different from what you expect, but, like, it's not bad.
But I think that's good, because it kind of otherizes him from the other Viltrumites.
Yes.
So it makes him, like, stand out as different. Like, you know, like, you hear he's stronger, but it's not just he's stronger. He's different. He was, like, built for this, you know, literally, like, engineered for this, basically. Trained from a young age, selective breeding, everything to, like, make him, like, the strongest Viltrumite, like, for a purpose. And so him kind of, instead of having, like, a gruff voice, having, like, a more regal voice and stuff, it's, like, very fitting to that kind of story for him.
Oh, yeah. And he is strong. You end the series, like, wondering how, like, anybody's gonna stop him, because he's strong to the point where you could gather every character in the series so far together in one supergroup and throw them at him all at once, and their combined might wouldn't even be able to scratch him.
Yeah, I think the one person that right now in the series could hurt him is Adam Eve, and that would only be right after she regenerates after dying.
Oh yeah, like after, oh yeah, that's true, yeah. Because she is, like, secretly the most powerful person in this universe.
She's kind of like the parallel to, like, the Phoenix Force almost, you know? Like, only when she's regenerating, you know?
She's like a combination of the Phoenix and Green Lantern.
Yeah, she's just
Yeah.
like ungodly powerful, like when her limiter's not in place, which is only when she's regenerating.
Yeah, exactly.
But man,
And that's the only way they took down Conquest the first time.
so we're talking about Thrag. Let's talk about Emperor Argal, which we first got to meet this time. This is the guy that was killed by the Betrayer. He was the Emperor of the Viltrumites. So the reason I want to talk about him, he's barely in it. They kind of just reference him a lot and stuff, and it's not really that interesting. There's one reason why I want to bring him up. Do you know why that is?
Why?
It's because of who voices him.
Oh, of course.
Emperor Argal is voiced by Frank Welker, who played Megatron in the
Yes.
Transformers. And the reason that's so important is that Thaddeus, the leader of the Coalition, also a Viltrumite, was played by Peter Cullen, who played Optimus Prime in the original Transformers. So by having Optimus Prime kill Megatron, it's like, how cool is that they did that? That's such a cool stunt casting.
Oh yeah, that is an awesome stunt casting.
Because it's such like a meta inside joke. Because it's like, Argal's like barely in it. He's like, he's in like one scene, you know? So it's like, you're not going to cast some like crazy actor to play him for this one scene unless it's like a cool stunt thing or something. But they went the other way. They said, okay, well, the guy who kills him is the voice actor for Optimus Prime in Transformers. Why don't we pit him against his arch nemesis from Transformers? I think that was such a cool choice. This is one of the things that I really like about Invincible is they do a lot with like stunt casting. And I've heard people talk about how like the animation's pretty weak and stuff. And like the show's so successful and it apparently has such a huge budget. And how could that be true if the animation looks so bad and stuff? And I'm like, you want to know why that's true? Look at the fucking cast. Look at how stacked the cast is for Invincible.
Oh yeah.
It's you can look at the show notes I prepared and like just see the names. Just scroll down. Just look at the right side only.
It's funny because like I was like watching the one episode of the season, the one where they're fighting like the aliens like invading.
Mm-hmm.
And Britt, the old guy, the leader of the Guardians of the Globe, I was like, oh wait, that's Jonathan Banks.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah.
Did you notice like Tech Jacket? Like the AI voice of Tech Jacket's suit is LeVar Burton.
Oh yeah. Like yeah, they got
Geordie LaForge, you know, for like an AI voice.
They got such a great cast for this show.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, you know, of course they had like Conquest with Jeffrey Dean Morgan, and Clancy Brown plays like 3 characters in it in this season, including General Craig. Phil Lamar plays Lucan, which is like, okay, get your Futurama cast members in there too. It's crazy. It's just absolutely insane. And then you have like Art Rosenbaum, the guy who makes outfits. That's Mark Hamill. It's just absolutely insane. Even like Alan the alien's like girlfriend, Telia, that's Tatiana Maslany. It's just like every single person in this is like it's crazy. So if anybody's like complaining about the animation and going like, with the budget this big, why does the animation look so bad? Well, if you want to know why, it's because look at the fucking cast. That's why. They spent their money elsewhere. But I talked about one of the trailers we talked about this week, or we talked about coming up on the horizon, and we talked about the trailer previously. That Widow's Bay series, and that one really optimistic guy that's like the mayor of the town or whatever, or like runs the store or whatever that we were talking about. And I said, oh yeah, he's this like Welsh actor I really like, Matthew Rhys. He played Dinosaurus in like one scene.
Yeah, which is funny.
Yeah, it's like that's crazy. It's like he's like an in-demand actor, and he plays the guy in like one scene. The girl that finally gets possessed by the mummy she's been in like I think every season or like every season since 2 of Invincible. That archaeologist girl that eventually gets taken over by the mummy. That's Chloe Bennett from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Oh yeah, I know, yeah. Yeah, like they got a lot of good names in this.
Yeah, it's really cool.
I really enjoyed this season. Again, like, I think the reason I enjoyed this season much is because it was a lot more focused. Because you do get some of the other plot lines earlier in the season, too.
But it's needed because they're doing thematic through lines.
Yeah, they're doing thematic through lines. And the focus is really on the Viltrumite war, the Viltrumite threat. And once you get deep into that, it doesn't let up. It's got some great action, great character moments, some great drama. I heard like a lot of people calling episode 8 filler, which is like weird because it's like, it's not filler. It's dealing with the emotional fallout of like what just happened, you know, like
Mark's PTSD.
what Mark just went through.
Yeah.
You know, exactly. It's like it's much needed.
That's one of the things that's so cool about this for an animated show, because every episode's like an hour. It's like a feature-length episode where usually it's like a half hour. Things kind of go by quickly. Even like you'd have like a really good run, like a good storyline in like the old X-Men cartoon or something, you know? All the like feelings and the dealing with things, that was so compressed because they only had like 20 minutes or whatever to tell that story, and they wanted mostly action, so they had to like really compress down the characters dwelling on their emotions and stuff. There's scenes like in the last episode of this season where it's just like still shots of the inside of Mark's house as Mark's just like sitting by himself, like taking it all in silence. And it goes on for like 2 minutes or something.
Yeah.
If you could not do that in like a 20-minute animated show.
No, absolutely not.
You wouldn't be able to dwell on things like that. I think that's like important to what makes Invincible such a success. Why people like are really into it, like surprisingly into it, considering how the comic book was never even close to this popular. You know?
Right. Oh yeah. It's interesting because Robert Kirkman said the show actually like increased the sales of the comic book. Like before the show, the comic book was doing just well enough. He said it was like basically being propped up by sales of The Walking Dead.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, you know, The Walking Dead was basically allowing them to continue to work on Invincible.
Yeah. And then the show just became a massive hit to the point where like the new episodes for this, I mean, it's kind of unfair because this was the finale for this show, but the new episode of this and the new episode of The Boys came out on the same day.
Yes.
And if you look at the rankings, this episode is like number 1 and The Boys is number 2. So it's like outpacing The Boys in popularity on Amazon Prime. Like I said, of course, this is also the finale versus just like an episode in the middle of the season for The Boys, but still, it's like, it shows you like how popular this is.
Oh, 100%.
Which is crazy because, again, nobody knew what the fuck Invincible was before the show.
Very few people who, like, were not tuned in to, like, superhero comics.
Yeah, I mean, you had to be really tuned in because most people who are into comics are just kind of into Marvel or DC. You know?
People stick to Marvel and DC. I've never been one of those people. I always was, like, interested in what Image was doing or what Dark Horse was doing. I do like me some Marvel and DC, but I like variety, you know?
But most comic book readers kind of stick, they don't even do Marvel and DC. They usually just do one.
They do
they pick a side and they stick to it.
Imagine.
It's kind of like console wars, but before consoles, you know?
I can't even like imagine being that insular about something that like just cost you like $3 for a comic book. Like, come on.
Yeah. You know, that's how a lot of people are. And then even when you get to like Image, even when you get to like people that like experimented with like Image or like, remember like Malibu? They had all sorts of weird comic companies in the 90s. And
there was like a lot, like when Image launched in the 90s and got popular, there were like a lot of other smaller, more indie publishers that popped up and tried their hand at being a thing.
But even with Image, like there was only one popular series on Image.
Spawn.
Spawn. That
Spawn
was it.
basically made, no shade to like anybody else doing series back then, but Spawn was like the breakout hit. Like Todd McFarlane has like a lot of credit for like really like making that brand relevant.
Well, it's like, cause it's funny cause it's like, you look at DC and of course everyone goes like Batman. Batman is like the star of DC. He's like the biggest name in DC. But you can't like just look at that and go, oh, he carries DC alone because, well, there's also Superman. Yes. Superman's also huge. There's also Wonder Woman. There's also The Flash. There's like all these characters. Same thing with Marvel. Like, it's funny because the MCU became so popular with like some of the second tier characters like Iron Man and Thor. Those weren't like the biggest characters in Marvel, you know?
No.
It's who they still had the rights to when they started up the MCU.
Oh, yeah. Kevin Feige could have. He would have launched it with Spider-Man.
But if you were going to say like, what is the most popular Marvel comic book character? Spider-Man, like easily. But you go past Spider-Man and you got like Wolverine and the entire X-Men catalog and you know, it's like they all have these other things. Image, it was just fucking Spawn. Like that's all anybody knew about from Image. And now if you were to like rank the popularity of characters from Image, it would be probably Invincible.
Yeah, Invincible.
Over Spawn.
Which is crazy. And that's because of this show. But I thought this was an excellent season. It was engaging from beginning to end. I really think
hopefully it doesn't take like 4 years to get another season.
Yeah, hopefully not. I think it's saw
They were much
where
faster between seasons 3 and 4, so hopefully that.
I think like I saw something where like they want to do a season every year now.
Yeah, we talked about this too. Like, this is TV in general. Like, TV was moving to like longer and longer gaps between seasons for like the last decade. And now it seems to be heading in the opposite direction. Like, it's all kind of compressing down. They're trying to get like a season every year for most of these shows, which is like cool. It's like there's less quality control, but it seems like they got that sorted. That doesn't seem to be like an issue for the shows that are going year to year now.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
So hopefully that carries through. And it's also, I think there's less work when it comes to like Invincible with that, because it is literally based on a comic book and it's following it pretty closely. There are some diversions, but the main storyline focus is pretty much the same.
Yeah, exactly.
So they kind of got their blueprint. They got their roadmap laid out.
Oh yeah. They absolutely got their roadmap. So enjoying it. That's my thoughts on the new season.
Yeah. Invincible season 4. It's a lot of fun. Yeah, there's some animation issues. There's like people talk about like a PNG like disappearing or something. Like they refer to the animation as like a PNG scaling across the background or something. To me, like none of that shit matters. Like I'm invested in the story.
Yeah, if I'm invested in the story and invested, that shit doesn't matter to me. And
and when they need like really good animation, it has it.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, I don't know. I've never seen anything with perfect animation, and also like animation is expensive.
Yeah, and time consuming.
Yeah, and time consuming. So I'm going to forgive.
If you're going to post that meme, when's the next season of Invincible coming, meme of Omni-Man tapping on the car hood, you have to kind of accept that you're going to have these like animation issues because they're pushing it out as fast as they can.
And it wasn't like as bad or as glaring as like season 2, so
yeah,
it has improved.
Yeah, definitely. So that's Invincible season 4. Next week, we are going to be talking about Send Help. We weren't sure what to talk about next week. We were like, maybe we should talk about Pragmata, but I don't think we'll have beaten it by then, so should we really do that yet? We're trying to kind of figure out, we had a few movies tied up that were like, okay, maybe we could do this or that. And then out of nowhere today, a teaser came out from Hulu showing that they have Send Help right now on Hulu. So yeah, we're going to talk about Send Help. We already said we were going to talk about it. I talked about it a week ago, or no, 2 weeks ago when we did like our catch-up video, our catch-up episode where we talked about stuff we've been watching, and I talked very briefly about Send Help, and I said, I'm only going to touch on it a little bit because I want to talk about it in full spoilers with you and do an actual episode about that. So that's what we're doing next week. Send Help, of course, is the new movie from Sam Raimi. So it's a banger. I've seen it already. Will is going to get to watch it. If you haven't watched it yet, it's on Hulu. Watch it and tune in and let's talk about Send Help. If you can, watch it with some other people because it's like a great, like, laugh at other people's reaction kind of movie, Like something crazy happens and you want to kind of like look left and right and see how people are reacting kind of thing.
Right. Oh, yeah.
So watch with other people if you can. If you can't, then watch it with us. Enjoy the podcast with us where we talk about it. So that's what we're going to be talking about next week. Until then, you can follow me on Twitter and Blue Sky. I'm at Tyson Gifford. You can follow Will on both those platforms. He is at Fox of Hero. You can check out our website, thetotalscreen.blogspot.com. If you go to our website and open up a container store for any of our podcast episodes and scroll down to the bottom paragraph, you'll find all the relevant links to our SoundCloud page, our RSS feed, all that stuff's there. You can also find a link to our YouTube channel where you can watch the entire backlog of our podcast as well as additional content. And of course, you can also subscribe to this podcast to your favorite podcast kind of choice, like Apple Podcasts or Podcasts. So thank you everybody for listening. Good night.
Good night.
Thank you for listening to the OnScreen podcast, the official podcast of The Total Screen. Visit our website at thetotalscreen.com. This podcast can be found on any major podcast client, including Pocket Cast and Apple Podcast. The entire backlog of this podcast and other content can be found on our YouTube channel.